All right, thank you guys for joining us today. Today we are going to be discussing Screencastify and Bitmoji Classrooms. The reason why we chose Screencastify specifically is because I'm sure, as you are aware, we have just purchased a district-wide license for Screencastify, so we wanted to kind of walk you through that, see what it's like, kind of go through some of the tools and whatnot, and then just because it's a Friday and we've been getting questions about it too, and it's just kind of fun, we wanted to talk about Bitmoji Classrooms as well.
And so for the agenda today, we're going to cover how to set up Screencastify, how to record and use all the new features along with the free features for Screencastify, how to use the editor of Screencastify, which is awesome because now we all have a video editing platform to use. And then we're going to get into the Bitmoji Classroom, how to set it up, some benefits, how to share with your students, and then a little bit of some how-tos with just creating and putting your pictures together.
All right, so first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add the extension. So Screencastify is an extension, it's not an application. So it's going to live up in the extension portion of your Google Chrome browser. And so to add the extension, if you haven't added it already, is you're going to go to the Chrome Web Store, and then you're going to do this for Bitmoji and for Screencastify. And then you're going to search for them, you're going to add them to Chrome, and then they should show up in the extensions section of your Chrome browser, which is towards the right-hand side. If you don't see them, something that was added is you'll see a puzzle piece up there, and what that is that's kind of like an extension manager. And so if you don't see it, all you have to do is click on that puzzle piece, scroll down till you see Screencastify, make sure that the little pin is blue, and then it'll show up there for you. So if it doesn't appear, don't panic too much, just click on that puzzle piece and make sure that Screencastify is pinned. And then this is a nice way too, if you have a lot of extensions like I do, and I don't necessarily want to see all of them all the time, but I don't want to uninstall them, I can kind of manage them and just have the ones that I want there all the time present, and then the other ones I can kind of hide.
Okay, so now we are going to get into Screencastify. So the first thing with Screencastify is when you open up your browser, you will see Screencastify in the upper right-hand corner in the extension bar. And if you don't see it there, then you'll want to click on that puzzle piece and you'll want to pin the extensions. Also, some of you might not, that's good. Some of you might not see Clever up there. And so if you click on the puzzle piece, you'll be able to pin Clever back into your computer.
And then once you click on that Screencastify logo, it's going to first prompt you to log in. And so you're going to log in with Google. So you're going to log in with your TUSD Google account.
And so then, oh yeah, go ahead.
I'll say like we were saying, you're going to click on sign in with Google, and you're going to sign in with your TUSD Google credentials.
And then when you actually click on your little extension, this screen should pop up and it should say Screencastify Unlimited. So that means that you have that paid plan.
So now how are we going to set up Screencastify? So just to kind of reiterate, we're going to click on the extension, we're going to sign in with our Google account, and then we can set up our webcam and our microphone. So once we click on that extension, it's going to ask you to, if you want to turn on the microphone, if you want to turn on the webcam, you're going to allow those permissions, and then you'll be good to go to start making your screencasts.
So when you first, after you're all signed in, you'll want to open up a new tab, and then you'll be able to click on the extension again. So you click on the extension once, and then you're able to sign into your account and create one. Then you click on the extension again, and this is what will open up. There's a bunch of different options here. So if we just look at the first few options, there's browser tab, desktop, and webcam only. What those mean, those are just the options of what you want to record. So browser tab would mean that you just want to record what's on that page. Desktop would mean that you can record everything on your screen. Webcam would be that you're only recording just your face. And then with the browser tab or the webcam, You can turn the microphone on or off, and then you can also embed your webcam within it, which means that students will see your screen and they'll also see your face.
And then just to kind of piggyback on the difference between a browser tab and a desktop, because sometimes this gets a little confusing. So the browser tab is, like Sitar said, is literally that specific tab. So if I were to be on this Google page and I opened up a different tab and I wanted to show them something on that different tab, they wouldn't see it. It is literally only recording that specific tab. Desktop, you have the ability to open up different tabs. You can open up different applications. You have more freedom. So more likely than not, you're going to want to choose desktop. But I just wanted to kind of really explain the difference between browser tab and the desktop. And then here's the little toggles where if you want to turn your microphone on or if you want to turn the webcam on.
So then once you recorded your video, once you hit stop, a brand new tab will open, and you'll wait like it's 2 seconds, but it seems like forever because you click stop and then you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then finally after 2 seconds, a brand new tab opens and your computer takes you to a screen like this. You'll see what video you recorded on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, it's a bunch of options. And you're gonna see this pink loading bar over there at the top. So that pink loading bar, what that's doing is it's actually saving that video to your drive, and you'll be able to copy the link. You can get an embed code. You can share right to your Google Classroom. You can send it in an email. There's so many different options from this page.
So like Sitar said, you do have some built-in sharing options right from the Screencastify kind of like loading screen. So you can get an embed code. So if you wanted to post this onto like a website or a blog, you could do that. If you wanted to share directly to Google Classroom, you could do that from here. If you had a YouTube channel and you wanted to publish this straight to YouTube, you could do that as well, or send it as an email. Or if you wanted to generate a QR code where the kids would scan it, and then when they scanned it, it took them to your video, you can do that from here as well.
And I just want to point out the share to Google Classroom, it's grayed out right here. And the reason why is because when we took the screenshot, the video wasn't done loading. So you won't be able to share the video to your classroom until it's completely shared to your drive. So if you're trying to click it and it's not working, look at that little pink bar at the top. And once it's dark pink all the way across, then you'll be able to click on it. If you're colorblind like my brother, just wait till that gray becomes a little darker and then you'll be able to click on it.
And then another cool option with our paid version is that we have the ability to download these. And so we can download the video. You can also export it as an MP4 file. If you wanted to just export the audio, so if you wanted to create a video and you wanted to provide different options for your kids, so if you wanted to provide the visual and the audio, or if you wanted to provide almost like a podcast-like experience where you're just they're just having them listen to it, you could do that as well. And then you could also make GIFs through Screencastify as well.
And once your video is saved, you can make your video private, so only you can view it, but you can also change the privacy. So just like with any Google application, Google Doc, Google Slides, even your Google site that you make, or PDFs within our Google Drive, we have to change who can see them. So we can make these videos private just for us. We can make it public for our entire domain, so the entire district, Turlock Unified. We can have it unlisted for Turlock, so they have the people can't search for it by name, they can only access it through the link. You can make it public so anyone can find it, and then you can have it unlisted. And so if you had it public before, then you can unlist it and make sure that people don't search it. But most of the time, everything that we're doing, we're just making it public at turlockusd.org. That way our students can see it. If you're making something for parents, then you would make it public.
And then in the top left-hand corner, you're going to see these three horizontal lines. Sometimes it's called like the hamburger. And if you click on those, it gives you some options. So if you click on that, you can go to all of your recordings. You can look at your subscription. You can go through some options. You can go to the editor. You can look at some classroom resources. There's a help section. If you had different accounts and you wanted to switch accounts, you could do that. And then you could also sign out from here as well.
So if you were to click on my recordings, it would take you to a screen that has all of the videos you've ever seen. So these are some of the videos that I have done. And so you'll see everything. You could scroll through all the videos that you've done. If you wanted to get something that you just did, instead of searching for it in your drive, you can just click on the extension, click on the hamburger, go to your recordings, and you're right there.
And then I just wanted to kind of point out, and we forgot to mention it earlier, but when you are when your video is rendering, you'll notice that in the top left-hand corner, the name is like the date and the time that the video was recorded. So you're going to want to change that to like how Satara has each of her videos as the subject of that video. If not, it's just going to be a bunch of timestamps. So it might be harder for you to find that video if you're going through your Screencastify folder, which we also failed to mention is when you start recording, it will create a Screencastify folder in your Google Drive for you. So just make sure that's usually what I do when I do my recordings, while it's loading, I go up to the top left-hand corner, I change the name of the video. Instead of it being the date and the timestamp, I change it to whatever title the video is.
So if you're unsure about if you have the unlimited account or not, if it doesn't say unlimited up there and you wanted to see, or maybe you paid for it previously, if you clicked on the hamburger and then you clicked on my subscription, it would show you what you had. So this is a picture of my screen, and I had paid for it, and my subscription ended in October. So I turned off my auto renew. That way it won't charge for me. But once the unlimited goes through, Screencastify is working with the district, and we should get it prorated back, those of you that did pay for it. But then even after that date so like after October, my account will still be unlimited because I made it under the turlockusd.org email.
Next down the line are your options. So one option you have is, where do you want to save the videos? Do you want it saved in your Google Drive, or do you want it saved local on your device? So if you are using a desktop or whatever, and you choose to save it locally, and you go home and you want to edit your video on your Chromebook, you won't have access to it. My recommendation, and I'm sure Satara would agree, is just to leave it on Google Drive. That way you have access to it no matter where you are. And then different notifications. So do you want background tab recording notification? Do you want drive upload progress notifications? Do you want video editing progress notifications? You can kind of toggle those on and off.
And then some more settings that you'll see. So if you were to keep scrolling down, there's different keyboard shortcuts. So when you're using Screencastify, there's drawing tools that you can enable. And there's also shortcuts to stop and start your recording or to start it over. To see what those keyboard shortcuts are, you'd have to get to those in the options bar. And then you'll be able to see what all those shortcuts are to get those to appear, and then to start using them and practicing with them. Then there's also some recording settings that you can have that you can start or you can turn them off. So open the video page after recording. That should stay on. So that's what I meant was, when you stop the recording, it automatically opens up another tab for you. That's because I turned on the open video page after recording. Autoplay open videos, when that tab opens, the video that you just recorded will just start playing automatically. You could turn that off if you wanted. And then pause recording on low disk space. That's if when you're recording the video and there's not a lot of space to save it, it would just pause and let you know. But since everything's saving to our drive, you're not going to have a problem with that, so that doesn't matter.
Nope.
And then name tab recordings with the active tab title. So if you are just recording your browser tab, it will take the exact name of your browser tab and put that on the name of what you're recording. But if you're recording your desktop, it'll be like untitled May 26th, 11:06,
yep.
Unless you name it when the recording's done.
And then you keep scrolling down, you have a few more options. There's privacy. So do you want to report anonymous usage to Screencastify? And then there's some advanced options down here too, whether it's talking about optimizing for your audio, enable single application recordings, those types of things are in here as well.
So that was all the options. And now we're in Editor. Editor is a wonderful feature of having an unlimited Screencastify account. So with Editor, we're able to edit the videos. We can cut or trim the videos from the start and the finish. We can cut them. So if there's a section of the video that we want to take out, we can do that. We can add text in the middle of the videos or anywhere throughout the video that we want. We can zoom in on the video. Maybe we recorded our whole screen, but we just want a little snippet of our screen. We can actually just crop it. That way we just have that piece. So we're going to take you through how to use all of these tools. So on the very bottom, this is where that red box just came up. That's where you're going to see a lot of the tools. And then you're also going to see a play button in the middle where you'll just be able to play your video. And then on the right-hand side, you'll be able to zoom in and out. And the zoom is going to actually zoom into where your video shows up at the bottom on that screen.
So like Satara said, right there in the middle is your play button. It also is showing you how long your video is. So like, for example, this video is 1 minute and 8 seconds long. And so I can see, like right now I'm at the very beginning of the video, but if I was going through and kind of playing, I could see where I'm at in my video. And then these are the zoom settings. So the video file at the bottom, if I zoom out, I see more of the file, but then if I zoom in, then I can kind of hone in on specific parts of the video and I can get more exact on where I want to cut certain parts out or whatnot.
And that plus sign, that blue plus sign's right there. If you recorded a bunch of different videos and you want to put them all in to make one bigger recording, that's where you can click on that plus sign and you can pull in more videos from your Screencastify recordings.
So like we said, if you click on the your video file at the bottom, you'll see these little dots on each side. That's where you can start trimming. So if you made a mistake in the beginning, you can kind of trim that off. Same thing at the end. So those are just your little sliders where you can kind of trim your video. And then the gray bar there, the vertical gray bar, kind of tells you where you're at in your video. So if you wanted to make specific cuts, the cuts are going to occur where that bar is located. And so your first option are the scissors. That's where you're going to cut your videos. And then your cropping tool. So this allows you to change the sequence and it allows you to change what your audience sees. So if I want to cut a certain section out, I can do that with the cropping tool. And then the T is a text tool. So if I wanted to add some text to my video, like a title or important information, I could do that as well here. And then the delete lets you, if you cut off a certain section of the video and you want to get rid of it, you can delete that part. Or if you wanted to delete an entire section, you could do that as well.
And then the next part, when you click on the hamburger under editor, would be classroom resources. This takes you to Screencastify's page, and there's a lot of amazing resources here. They have a beginner's guide to Screencastify. They have different webinars that are made by wonderful people in the ed tech world. They also have linked 50 ways to Screencastify in the classroom. So they give you amazing ideas and ways to utilize Screencastify that we wouldn't have regularly thought about.
And so here are some ideas of ways that you can use Screencastify for distance learning. So you can record videos for students that are absent. So if they're not able to attend your live lessons, you can record them and then you can have those available for students to view. You could record lab demos. You could also record videos on mute and have students create their own voiceovers of those videos. You can use it to show how to edit videos. So like if you were using a different software, but you wanted to record how to edit in that software, you could use Screencastify for that. You could create subplans, so you can lay out, this is how I want my day to go, and you're giving a video to that sub instead of just some written directions. You can create intervention station video. So you could have videos for students when they go to different breakout rooms or just when they're working on certain interventions. You can have that for them. You can have them get the app and they can make their own videos too. They are limited to 5 minutes. You can create your own GIFs. So if you just wanted to show them, the steps to maybe logging into Clever or something like that, and you didn't necessarily want any audio or anything, and you just wanted it continuously on a loop, you could do that as well. You could create instructional videos. You could explain anything with a video. And this is not an exhaustive list. These are just some ideas that we had, but we just wanted to throw some ideas out there for you guys of ways that you could use this during distance learning.
And so now we are going to get into the Bitmoji Classroom. So the virtual classrooms that are a craze out there that there's tons of Facebook groups for. There's Facebook groups for PK to first grade. There's just a Bitmoji craze for educators Facebook groups. There's things on Twitter. There's things on Instagram. So the Bitmoji virtual classrooms have really taken off. So we just want to give you guys some support.
All right, so just wanted to show you an example. So this is one that I made of my virtual classroom. So this is kind of what my classroom looked like when I was in the classroom. And so on here, and these, when you have the copy of the slides, everything is interactive. It's all clickable and everything. So I have this set up where, if you needed to go to, if you wanted to go to the podcast, you could click on there and it would take you straight to it. The whole kind of idea behind a Bitmoji Classroom is everything is hyperlinked. So they click on something, it takes them to that specific site, takes them to a resource, takes them to a video, takes them to an article, takes them somewhere. This is like the one place that they go, and then these all link out to all the other kind of resources that you would want to provide them. So anything is pretty much clickable on this screen. Some things aren't, but on the shelves there, those are Zoom. So if I was in the classroom and I wanted my kids to jump into Zoom, they could click on that. It would take them to Zoom. The Google Classroom would take them to Google Classroom. The Google Sites logo would take them to my class website. The YouTube logo takes them to the YouTube channel. The Twitter logo takes them to my Twitter page. The Instagram takes them to my Instagram page, those types of things. So that's kind of the idea behind a Bitmoji Classroom.
And then here are some examples from online that I got from the Bitmoji Craze for Educators on Facebook. And it just shows you the wide range that teachers are doing. So we got to see Marshall's Bitmoji Classroom, and now look at all of these other ones. So some teachers aren't putting themselves physically in the Bitmoji Classroom, like in the middle one. They just put a picture of themselves on the wall, but they just have a big library. Some, they're using it and changing it daily. So this is the agenda for the kids every day, or they're changing it weekly. So this is what some educators are doing and how they're utilizing their kind of digital classroom to still build that relationship and community. And then here's another picture, just another different way that you could make your classroom.
Okay, so first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to obviously add your Bitmojis to this, hence the name Bitmoji Classroom. And so the way that is easiest, the way that we did this is we just use the Bitmoji extension. So it is available for teachers only. So you can download that extension if you don't already have, if you don't already have an account, you can create an account, and then you can go through and you can search for tons of different things. If you type pose in there, you'll get examples that don't have any words, they don't have any other kind of extra things, it's just you. So if you wanted to start there, you could do that. If you wanted to search for other things, you could do that as well. But that's where you're going to start. And then all you have to do is just right click on a Bitmoji that you want to use. You're going to choose copy, and then you'll paste it into the Google site that you're working on.
So another thing that's really hard is searching for transparent images, but it's actually really easy when you're on the Google image search page. So when you're on Google image search, you're going to see the tools button. When you click on tools, it's going to give you some options. You'll be able to choose usage rights, so label for reuse. That way we're not breaking any copyright laws. But you'll also be able to choose the color. And a choice under color is transparent. That way every single picture that you take and that you're looking at most of the time is a transparent background. A few do slip through and you click on it and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this lamp and I want to put this lamp in my room, and it ends up not being transparent. But most of the images, especially when you filter it through the tools for transparent, they turn out transparent. That way you're not constantly opening and copying and saving a bunch of images that you end up not being able to use.
And then how to kind of move and edit images. So when you are building your Bitmoji Classroom, and I guess we probably should have said this to begin with, probably the easiest way is to build it through something like Google Slides. You could probably do Google Drawings too, but Google Slides, you could do that, because then if you did it in Google Slides and you wanted an image or something to link to another slide, you could do that as well. But let's say, like in this example, Satara has her Bitmoji. That Bitmoji is holding balloons. She doesn't want those balloons in there. So you can crop an image out. And so to crop an image, all you have to do is double tap on it. And when you double tap on that image, you're going to see these black lines appear. And then you can drag those lines around and just have the part of the image that you want shown. You can also, too, if you look at that crop image, or excuse me, if you look at the crop icon there, if you see the little down arrow next to it, it will let you crop in a shape. So if you wanted to crop something in a circle or in a star or something like that, you could do that as well. To flip or kind of rearrange an image, to rotate it, if you click on the image, go to arrange, and then go to rotate, you have options of, you can do it clockwise, counterclockwise, you can flip it horizontally, and so you can kind of arrange how that image looks. And then if you wanted to change the color of the image, so in my Bitmoji Classroom, the desk was gray, but the actual image of the desk is brown. And so all you have to do is click on that image, go to format, and then you're going to choose recolor, and then you have some options of ways that it'll kind of recolor that image for you. Same thing with the rug on the bottom. I think that was like a purple or like a burgundy rug, but then I just changed it so it was gray.
And then how to link images and text. So a major thing with the Bitmoji Classrooms are everything's clickable. Everything's hyperlinked. You should be able to click on it and it either takes you to another slide within the presentation or it takes you to a website. So how can we do that? Well, if you're working with an image, you want to click on the image and then you go up to insert and link. Or you can also hit the keyboard shortcut Control-K. And then you're just going to want to type or paste the link in and then hit apply. So you want to do that with any image that you want. This also works with text. So if it's a text box or just text that you want to highlight, even if it's one word in a sentence, you can highlight that text, highlight that word. You can go to insert, then link, and you can hyperlink those words, the entire text box, or the image. So to highlight the words that you want to hyperlink, just go to insert and link. And then there's also an image at the top. It kind of looks like a paper clip or a chain link of a fence. You can also click that, and that will also bring up the box where you can paste your link into.
And then just on a kind of side note, so all these GIFs and things that you're seeing as we're kind of demoing, Satara and I made these with Screencastify. So we're using the tool that we were telling you guys about earlier. So that's this, if you didn't know what a GIF was, these are what they are. They're just kind of showing the steps, and we made these in Screencastify. And then, so how would you link an image and a text to a slide within a presentation? So maybe I have this big presentation going. I want that first slide to be my Bitmoji Classroom, or if I'm just using it in a normal presentation and I want them to click on a specific word, or I want them to click on a specific image and I want it to go to a specific slide in my presentation, you can do that. So you're going to click on the image, or you're going to highlight the text that you want to have the hyperlink go to. You're going to click on that paperclip or that chain link icon, and then you'll see a space where you can enter your link, but then underneath that, you'll see where it says slides in this presentation. And then you can scroll down, you can click on the slide that you want it to go to, and then you would click apply. So now when your students click on that word or they click on that image, it'll take them directly to that exact slide in your presentation. And so they don't have to sit there and they don't have to click and scroll through, or maybe they're doing review, and depending on what answer choice they choose, it takes them to a certain part of your presentation. You can do that by using this method.
And then you can also insert like a home button. You know, sometimes we go to websites and it's like, oh, go to home, and you click on the home and it takes you to the home page of the website. You could insert like a picture of your Bitmoji face or just a home button, and you can hyperlink that to slide 1, which would be your Bitmoji Classroom. That way, when they go to slide 27 and they're done looking at everything on slide 27, then all they need to do is click on home, and then they go right back to your Bitmoji Classroom.
So best practices with linking to YouTube. So we just want to kind of hit on this because that is something that you can do in your Bitmoji Classroom, is you can link out to videos. So the best way to do that is to ensure that students get it and they don't see all the extra fluff with YouTube, is running them through a site called safeyoutube.net. And what this does is it strips away all the extra stuff that YouTube has, and it just gives them the video that you're wanting to share with them. So on the on the left-hand side is an example of our podcast and literacy video that we did, our PD that we did during last school year. The left side is just a normal YouTube link. On the right side is a link that we did through Safe YouTube. And as you can see, there aren't the extra videos on the sides. There's no ads. There's nothing for them to click on. They literally have the video and that's it. So you can go through and you can copy your link from, if you find a video on YouTube, you can copy that link, go to safeyoutube.net, paste that link in there, and then when you share that new link with your students, they'll get the version that's on the right, not the version that's on the left.
So layering images on Google Slides. So when you're on Google Slides, sometimes you got your Bitmoji, you put your Bitmoji on there first, and then you put your couch. And for some reason, your Bitmoji is behind your couch. So how do we get your Bitmoji to be in front of it? Or how do we get your carpet to be underneath your couch? Those are all different ways of layering. There's 3 ways that you can layer different images. So one is you can click on the text box, that should say box, or image, and then you can go up to arrange, click order, and then you can choose to send that image to the front or the back. So let's say that you have your couch and your Bitmoji's behind it. You would click on your Bitmoji and you would want to send your Bitmoji to the front. That way your Bitmoji would be in front of your couch. Another way you can also get to the ordering is you click on that text box or image and you would right click and then select order, and you can send it to the front or the back. And then there's also a keyboard shortcut. When you click on the image, you can hold down Control and the down arrow, and you can just keep hitting the down arrow to send that image back, or you can keep hitting the up arrow to send that image to the front. And the keyboard shortcut's really nice if you've got a bunch of images layered on top of each other and you're trying to click and get to them. Or if you want to click an image that's behind another image and you can't click to it, then you're going to have to use that ordering to reorder them. That way you can click on it to resize it or do what you'd like.
And then just to add to the keyboard shortcuts, so the control down or the control up arrow is going to go one layer at a time. So if I had 3 images stacked on top and I want this front image to be on the bottom, I would, every time I did control down, it would go down one layer and one layer, one layer. If you know I have my couch and I definitely want that on the back, if you do control shift down, it automatically sends it all the way to the back. Or if you did control shift up, it's going to send it all the way up to the front. So doing the control shift and the arrow sends it either all the way back or all the way up. And then doing the just control arrow is going to either bring it down one layer at a time or it's going to bring it up one layer at a time. So now you've created everything, you have everything all linked up. How are you going to share this with your students? So one option that you can share it with them is you can share it with them as a PDF in your Google Classroom. So once you have it all kind of squared away, you would go to File, you would go to Download, and then you would choose PDF, and then you could post that PDF into your Google Classroom.
And then something that wasn't an option when Marshall and I were making this presentation is Clever just updated, and on your teacher page in Clever, you can now upload PDFs. So if you're working with littles and you made a Bitmoji Classroom, you can upload the PDF of your Bitmoji Classroom now into Clever for them. So that's a new thing that was just uploaded that we were super excited about. So we also wanted to talk about that.
Perfect. Another way is to share it in forced presentation mode in Google Classroom. So if we were to just share a slides deck with them and they open it, they're going to see it kind of how you're seeing it right now. You're going to see the slides here, but then you'll see what they call the film strip on the side. So we don't want them to see all that. We just want them to see the main slide. So if you are on your presentation, you highlight that URL, and at the end, you'll see that there's the word edit. If you delete that and you switch it and you type in the word present, when they open it, it's going to automatically open up in present mode for them.
And then the third option of sharing with students is some teachers aren't even making their Bitmoji in a Google slide. They're making their Bitmoji Classroom on a Google site, so essentially a web page. So you'd be sharing the actual website with your students, and you can close that website down to where you're only sharing it with people within our turlockusd.org domain. You can make it public so parents can also access it, or you can make it private just to you. But since we're doing this with our students, you'll probably make it public so parents can access it too. But that's where you'd put all the links and materials, everything that everyone's just doing in their Google slide, you're just doing it on your Google site. So that way it's all updated. Some people are making different pages within their Google site for the different days of the agenda. That way they don't lose their original agenda, they just keep going. And there's so many endless options with Google Sites or with Google Slides of how you want to create your Bitmoji Classroom, but you're just going to choose what works for you.
And then actually there's another way, and I'm going to actually stop. I'm going to get out of present mode real quick, because another thing that you could do is you could, in Google Slides, there's an option called Publish to the Web. And so it's kind of like the URL shortcut that we shared with you, where you would delete, edit, and just do it in presentation mode. But if you went up here to, you're in your slides, and if you go to File and then you go to Publish to the Web, what it'll do is it'll create a link for you. And when they go to that link, they won't see the film strip on the side. They won't see any of this extra stuff. They'll just see your presentation. So that's another option that you can do to share it with them as well.
Marshall, can you click Publish to the Web?
Oh, yes. So you would go File, and you could say Publish to the Web. And so now I can get my link, and by default, it's going to kind of advance your slides. And so I could turn that off, and then I could make it where it starts right when I open it up. I could restart it at the very end. Once I have this all set up the way I want it, I can publish it, or if I want to embed it and get like the embed code and stuff, I could do that through here as well. And so once I'm ready, I would click publish, and then it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to publish this? I would say okay, and then it's going to give me this embed HTML code, or I could just get the link here, and then I could share that link with whoever I wanted to share it with my students or parents or anything like that.
And this is a great way, especially if you just have one slide. Your Bitmoji Classroom is one page, one slide. Publishing it to the web is probably going to be your easiest bet to share with students, because you can put that link in your Clever, you can put that link in your Google Classroom. If you have multiple slides and you're linking within it, that's where you can just sit there and try everything and see what you like best for your students to be able to access.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to share that with you guys as well.
No, that was great. Thank you.
Okay. So distance learning and Bitmoji Classrooms, how can we use them together? So like we said, we can use them for daily or weekly agendas that we would normally write on our whiteboard since we're not going to be in our classrooms, or our students aren't going to be in our classrooms at least. We can do that. It's great for the littles, so they can just point and click on certain things. It's a fun way to introduce yourself, introduce the day's topic to your class. It's a good way too for your kids to kind of get to know you. So I put on mine, I put resources in there for teachers, for students and stuff, but I put my own kind of personal twist on things, and I put little things in there that if you kind of pay attention, you'll see some of things that I'm interested in and whatnot. So it's kind of a good way too for your kids to kind of get to know you as their teacher. You can help them feel connected, kind of goes on that same topic. You can build a classroom community. You can make it your Google Classroom header. So instead of just having the default header that Google provides when you create a Google Classroom, you can add that as your Google Classroom header just to give it a little more personalization. As a waiting room in Zoom. So when your students log into a Zoom session and they're waiting for you, you could have your Bitmoji Classroom as something that they have access to while they're waiting, so they can get materials and things like that. It's a good way to kind of have them do the what do you notice, what do you wonder activities, because they have to kind of examine what's in the classroom, different aspects of the classroom and stuff like that.